Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another My Favourite 40 ranked. I've done Radiance, I have done Indicator, so I thought I would do Imprint. Now I have quite a few imprints, nowhere near all of them, partly because they are quite expensive. Even if you find them on eBay, they do have like a yearly sale, which bizarrely I didn't take part in last year. I must have had a stroke of goodness. But I'm going to go through my favourite 40. Again, this is not ranking them as far as the greatest 40 imprint titles. Now a lot of these, or some of these titles, are available in other labels. So there's a couple, or at least one significant omission that might be in my favourite 40 Criterion films if I'm crazy enough to attempt that. A film from the 90s. I've given too much away. So I'll start at number 40, which seems to be a good place to start. And this is My Summer of Love. This is a film I saw on the television some years ago, and I always had a soft spot for it. It was directed by Paweł Pawlowski, who also did Ida, I believe. And it stars Natalie Press and Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt before she was famous. This is from 2004, about two young women, one working class, one posh, who spend a summer together and kind of have a sadistic, masochistic relationship with each other. But for me, the real star of the show is Paddy Considine, who plays the ex-criminal brother of Natalie Press, who has changed his ways and become a born-again Christian. And they've taken over this pub, and he's turning it into basically a Jesus house. It's a great performance by Paddy Considine, and it's kind of a clue to what Emily Blunt would become. She's done quite well for herself. This is just a wonderful coming of age. It's beautiful countryside. I think it's New Yorkshire somewhere. There's a real nasty side to it as well, which is very enjoyable. That's spine number 229. Spine number 233 is part of the Sidney Fury box set. I've done a random review of this. This is Hit! Exclamation mark, with Billy D. Williams and Richard Pryor, which is absolutely wonderful. It's a heist, not really a heist, it's an assassination film. I suppose that's why it's called Hit. Billy D. Williams is a cop who's had family tragedy because of drugs, and he's sick fed up of drug dealers getting away with it and never been able to get to the top dog. So he rounds up this ragtag bunch of people who have also been affected by drugs, on both sides. You know, there's an addict, there's family members who've lost children, etc., and they go to Europe to basically kill the top of the food chain. It's very enjoyable. It's like The Dirty Dozen, but with people who aren't soldiers wanting to kill drug dealers in very odd, accidental ways. Spy number 108, at number 38, is Jack Lemmon and Sandy Dennis in Out of Towners. I think this was remade with Steve Martin, is it not? Directed by Arthur Hiller. This is another wonderful performance by Jack Lemmon and Sandy Dennis. But Jack Lemmon's best work in this film is actually when he's not talking. There's a wonderful scene in a bathroom with Sandy Dennis that it's Jack Lemmon not talking that's actually quite brilliant. Spy number 227, I couldn't leave out Monica Bellucci and Milena, directed by Giuseppe Tornatore, from the year 2000. This is about a beautiful Italian woman, strangely enough played by Monica Bellucci, and her relationships during the war, the happy times and not so happy times. If you kind of know what happened to, for example, Dutch women who during the occupation went out with Germans, then after the war had bad things done to them as reprisals, this kind of gives you some clue into what happens to Milena. Gorgeous film by Tornatore, another one of his films that's well worth checking out. Spy number 52, this was part of their Hammer Horror box set. This is Twins of Evil, with Peter Cushing actually playing not a nice character. Dennis Price, Madeline and Mary Collinson, they play the twins, strangely enough. Kathleen Byron's in it. David Warbeck, who of course would do lots of Italian horror films, directed by John Hough. And as you can see, there's an absolute load of extras. I'd highly recommend the Hammer Horror set, but again, those films can be found elsewhere. Spy number 7, I'd never even heard of this. This is No Way to Treat a Lady, with George Segal, Lee Remick and Rod Steiger, with another moving, subtle performance. This is from 1968, based on a novel by William Goldman, directed by Jack Smite. This is Rod Steiger playing a killer who uses lots of outfits and disguises. George Segal's the cop. It's completely barking, but really enjoyable. I think I did a random review of this as well. I don't think that's available anywhere else. Next, Spy number 231. This is number 34. This is also from the Sidney J. Furie box set, and this started a TV show basically. This is The Lawyer. It's Barry Newman as Petrocelli, the name of the TV show, and this is just wonderful stuff. From 1970. It's just so good. Newman is wonderful, obviously not quite as wonderful as he was as Kowalski in Vanishing Point, but this is a fantastic little film about justice. Next, Spy number 69, from arguably the best box set in Imprint history, the Zhang Yimou set. This is Raise the Red Lantern. This is from 1991, Zhang Yimou's debut, and this is absolutely sumptuous and gorgeous. Obviously his start of his relationship, working and otherwise, with Gong Li. Yeah, absolutely beautiful film. Spy number 101, Kirk Douglas and Anthony Quinn in Last Train from Gun Hill. I think this was one of the first films that kind of got my attention as an imprint. This is from 1959, and this is a 1080. I don't know whether this is a misprint, but this is a 1080 from a 6K film transfer of the original VistaVision negative. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Directed by John Sturges, when he was actually a good director. This is actually quite a nasty little film, as far as Kirk Douglas is looking for revenge after the rape and murder of his wife, and the R word's actually used quite a lot, which 1959, I'm not sure how many times that was used. And he's after a member of Anthony Quinn's family, which obviously Anthony Quinn's not that happy about. They are long time or old friends, but obviously not so much now. It's a lovely little film. Speaking of a lovely little film, Spine Number 31 from 1976, Bad News Bears with Walter Matthau and Tatum O'Neill. Now this has 2 sequels that are also available in imprint, one with William Devane. I don't know whether he's in both, which I don't have. This is directed by Michael Ritchie, as I said, from 1976. This is just one of the great underdog sports films. Obviously, wonderful cover art. Where are we? Number 30. Again, a film that I wasn't really familiar with. The Molly Maguires. I mean, Sean Connery, Richard Harris, Samantha Eggar, Frank Finlay, directed by Martin Ritt. This is from 1970. About unions and Sean Connery not playing. That's another one of Sean Connery's not playing nice characters, and Richard Harris is sent undercover to investigate these miners who are causing problems for the company. It's a nice double bill with Matewan. Obviously Matewan's the better film, but it's a nice double bill. And then from the I think the Paramount Terrors, or I can't remember whether it's Paramount, but the oldie worldy horror films. The Vampire's Ghost. I absolutely love this film. Obviously only number 29, but this is absolutely fantastic. It plays with all the rules of vampires that we only really know from films and TV, but it just plays with the conventions. It's only like over 60 minutes or something, but it's absolutely wonderful. John Abbott, who you'll recognise the face if not the name, plays the vampire, as you can see, with his sharp pointed teeth. It's just an absolute joy. At number 70 from 1992, it's another Zhang Yimou and Gong Li. This is the story of Quizhu, which obviously won't be pronounced properly. And to me, this is the greatest film in cinema history about somebody getting kicked in the balls. Gong Li's husband is kicked in the balls, and she wants retribution for it, and she'll go to all the levels of government to try and get reparations for his balls. Obviously Gong Li not looking glamorous in any way, shape or form. Again, it's a wonderful film, and as I said, if you're into ball kicking films, it's one of the best. In number 86, an absolute joy, from 1969, The Assassination Bureau Limited, which is available, I think it's Arrow that released it afterwards. This is another wonderful Oliver Reed, again a film that I wasn't aware of. Yeah, Oliver Reed and Diana Rigg, Telly Savalas. It's about an assassination bureau limited, and Diana Rigg, it's beautiful artwork, really colourful, and Diana Rigg investigates as a female reporter. Directed by Basil Dearden, the old veteran. And 110 minutes, it is way too long. It really should have been like 100 maybe, or 95, but it's great seeing Oliver Reed, and another wonderful performance. Where are we? Number 26 from 1941, Peter Lorre in The Face Behind the Mask. This is just awesome. Directed by Robert Florey, 1941. It's only 68 minutes. Doesn't need to be any longer. Peter Lorre is this wide-eyed immigrant that comes to America, has a tragedy, needs facial surgery, and comes back a little bit of a different character, gets involved with gangsters, gets involved with a blind woman, of course, so she can't see his face. It's just absolutely brilliant. Laurie's absolutely fantastic in it. Highly recommend. I would also highly recommend this one. This is again from the Sidney J. Furie box set. This is from 1978, The Boys in C Company. This is basically Full Metal Jacket before Full Metal Jacket. Again, would make an interesting double bill, the Full Metal Jacket. Lots of lovely extras on it as well. Yeah, in some ways you could say this is better than Full Metal Jacket. I know that's controversial, but there's lots of similarities. In some ways this is better, and in some ways Full Metal Jacket's better. If you could merge the two, it would make one of the greatest films of all time. Yeah, perhaps not a lot of stars in it. I mean, Stan Shaw is probably the most famous person in it. But yeah, very similar to Full Metal Jacket. And we're back to Hammer, Spy Number 51, Hands of the Ripper. One of the more unusual Hammers. Directed by Peter Sadze, 1971, starring Eric Porter. This is a really fun variation of the Jack the Ripper story. We all know Jack the Ripper was Elvis. And then they've got, Imprint's got a really nice box set of the Harry Palmer, well, the first three Harry Palmer films. This is Spy Number 75, and this is the Progress file. Obviously you can get this on network Blu-ray. This is directed by Sidney J. Furie, bizarrely. Based on the novel by Len Deighton. This is absolutely wonderful. Apart from anything else, you get Nigel Green in a larger role, which you don't see very often. One of Michael Caine's seminal performances. Again, I'm not a huge Michael Caine fan, but this is certainly one of his classic performances, and lots of extras in that as well. Spy Number 120 at number 22, across 110th Street. Again, you can get this in Kino Lorber. Anthony Quinn, Yaphet Kotto. I mean, come on, pretty iconic picture there. Anthony Quinn is the racist, hard-boiled cop. Yaphet Kotto is given the case of some guys who ripped off some mob money, and also the two of them clash. But it's just a fantastic film, great music. Obviously Tarantino used the theme tune for the opening shots of Jackie Brown. Yeah, from 1972, directed by Barry Shear, based on a novel by Wally Ferris. This is nasty, but it's awesome. Number 21, again, this is available on Premium Collection. This is Spy Number 37. This is Scarface with Paul Muni, directed by Howard Hawks. I got this version and got rid of my premium version because it does have more extras than the premium version. It's got a commentary on the theatrical version. It's got an interview with Matthew Sweet. It's got an interview with Tony Raines. It's got the theatrical version of the film and the censored version of the film. an alternate ending and an introduction, as well as the trailer. So from 1932, this is a seminal film. Also co-stars Boris Karloff, if you didn't know that already. Spy number 92. We're into the top 20. At 20 is the Medusa Touch. This might have been one of the first imprints I got. Richard Burton gives a wonderful performance. Lino Ventura, sadly dubbed in this. Lee Remick, Gordon Jackson's in this. Jeremy Brett, Michael Hordern. Derek Jacobi's in it. Harry Andrews is in it. It's all about brain power. Richard Burton may have a brain that causes disasters. I think that's actually true, but also in the film his character has a brain that causes disasters. It's very silly, but also really enjoyable. At 19, from Spy number 249 from 1993, this is Searching for Bobby Fischer, or Innocent Moves as I knew it as. And this is a film about chess. But listen to this cast. It's Joe Mantegna, Lawrence Fishburne, Joan Allen, Ben Kingsley, William H. Macy's in it. Just absolutely wonderful about this little boy with a gift for chess. And look at all the people that are interested in him. It's just a wonderful little film. I've always had a soft spot for it, so I was really happy when Imprint announced they were releasing it. I don't think it's on Blu-ray anywhere else, but again, obviously I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Spy number 321 in the noir or neo-noir set volume 3 from 1992. This is Roger Donaldson's White Sands, with Willem Dafoe, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio and Mickey Rourke. I remember this coming out in video, but I never actually saw it, and this is a wonderful little film. Obviously Willem Dafoe is fantastic as a small town sheriff that gets involved with arms dealers, mainly Mickey Rourke. It's a wonderful neo-noir. Spy number 256 is a film that I actually saw in a cinema. Can you believe it? This is a Guillermo del Toro produced film, not directed. The Orphanage. This is a 2-disc set. This is a lovely, creepy little film about dead kids. And this is from 2007, so you get the 2-disc edition, so you get the film, strangely enough, directed by J.A. Bayona, who's went on to other things. And that has extras, and then you get a second disc of even more special features, and a Q&A with Juan Antonio Bayona. So that's The Orphanage. Again, always had a soft spot for The Orphanage. It just has a beautiful look and a really creepy atmosphere, and it's actually got quite a moving ending. The ending is actually quite moving. Something a little bit different at 16, number 221, and this is Uptight. This has an amazing score by Booker T and the MGs. There's a track near the end of the film which is just absolutely wonderful. It did make me go and buy the soundtrack. It's from 1968, and it's a somewhat controversial film. It's actually produced and directed by Jules Dessan, who growing up I just assumed he was French, but of course he's American. Starring a host of familiar faces, and it's about this guy on the cover who is so desperate for money that he gives up one of his friends to the police, and then of course in the black community that doesn't go down very well, so everybody's after him, the police and the whole black community. It's just a wonderful film. Raymond St. Jack, Ruby Dee. It was actually co-written by Desan, Ruby Dee and Julian Mayfield. It's just a fantastic film. Obviously 1968, same year that Martin Luther King got assassinated. It's just such a good film, and this is a 4K scan, so I'd highly recommend Uptight. Spine Number 13, pretty divisive film. Some people like it and other people seem to absolutely hate it. Spine Number 13 at number 15, The Day of the Locust. Again, I think you can get this in other labels, from 1975. It's 2.5 hours long, and it's look at the golden era of Hollywood, but fairly nasty golden period of Hollywood. I don't know whether this is similar to Babylon, or Babylon is trying to do A Day of the Locust. I haven't seen Babylon. This stars Donald Sutherland, Karen Black, Burgess Meredith, William Atherton, Richard Dysart, Bo Hopkins, Geraldine Page, and it's also the guy who played Rorschach. I can't remember. Jackie something, Errol Jackie Errol, as a child actor, which is absolutely hilarious. It does have a fairly shocking ending, but I think it really gets the period right, and I do just love an apocalyptic ending. Again, some people absolutely hate it, but I guess that's their right. Another film from the neo-noir, I think this was volume 2, could be wrong, it might be volume 3 as well. Spine Number 325 from 2002. I've always had a soft spot for this. This is Stephen Frears' Dirty Pretty Things. This is available in Blu-ray, region B at least. Starring Audrey Tautou, a little bit different from Amelie and the wonderful Chiwetel Ejiofor. Again, to me it's one of the mysteries of the 21st century, how Chiwetel Ejiofor isn't a huge star, because I think he's the best actor of his generation, or certainly one of them. This is about the underbelly. This is about the immigrants who do all the work in Britain behind the scenes, but there's also some illegal activity. Tautou and Ejiofor share a flat, even though they obviously wouldn't have anything to do with each other, because it's naughty according to Tautou. Ejiofor was a Nigerian doctor back home, and he's hoping to make money so he can go back home. It's just absolutely brilliant. Ejiofor is fantastic, and Tautou shows a different side to her. It's just, I've always had a soft spot for this film, and you should too. At, where are we, number 13, this featured in my debut director A to Z. This is Dalton Trumbo's Johnny Got His Gun from 1971, the only film writer Trumbo directed, and this is just black and white. No, it's not black and white, it's in colour with some black and white, about a young soldier played by Timothy Bottoms that gets everything blown off, pretty much, probably including his bottom, but he's somehow kept alive. Happy-go-lucky, brilliant performance by Jason Robards as his dad, and Donald Sutherland as Jesus, of course. At number 12, of course this is available in other places, and Arrow I think have just released a 4K recently, the last 6 months. Spine Number 123, this is The Warriors by Walter Hill. And of course Imprint, I've got a Walter Hill box set, which is lovely. So you get the theatrical cut and the director's cut, and you also get a ton of extras. I mean, who doesn't like the Warriors? I'm sure there may be comments from people who don't like the Warriors, but that's the Warriors at number 12. Number 11 from 1988. I was pleased when this got a Blu-ray. This is The Beast, or The Beast of War. Kevin Reynolds, who did Robin, Prince of Thieves and Waterworld. But this is arguably his best film. Jason Patric and George Zunda and Stephen Bauer as a Russian tank crew in Afghanistan. Probably wouldn't get made nowadays. And their travails. And it's rather fantastic. So if you haven't seen The Beast, highly recommend it. Now we're getting into the top 10, and what a top 10 it is. It's by number 171 from 1973. One of Jack Lemmon's finest performances, Save the Tiger. Again, this was on my Blu-ray wish list for years, and again I was so happy when Imprint released it because it's absolutely brilliant. Jack Lemmon stars as a burnt out fashion house owner or manufacturer who's under pressure financially, and under pressure in every other way, and he's just trying to survive. It sounds pretty dull, but it's not. It's absolutely wonderful. It's one of Jack Lemmon's finest performances, and that's saying something. There's a bit of Shelley the Machine Levine in this. Again, another guy who's just, life hasn't turned out the way he thought it would. It's just absolutely riveting. Number 9, this is more of a personal choice. This is North Dallas 40 with Nick Nolte, which just got recently got a 4K from Kino Lorber. I'm not going to bother with the 4K because this is a 4K scan by Paramount. And this is one of the more accurate films about American football, or football as I call it. Obviously based in a fictional team, North Dallas, even though it's literally the Cowboys. It was written by a guy who played for the Dallas Cowboys briefly. I mean, the head coach, played by G.D. Spradlin, is basically Tom Landry, the legendary coach of the Cowboys, but obviously not really, because it's not official. It co-stars Bo Svensson, Charles Durning, and personal favourite of mine, John Matuzak, played for the Oakland Raiders. Yes, Nick Nolte's an ageing wide receiver who just causes problems, and for the team who likes things done a certain way. It's just a wonderful film from 1979. Obviously, if you're not into football, then you might not like it as much, but it kind of tells the truth about the pain-killing injections, and certainly football in the 70s and 80s. It's a fairly accurate picture of the drugs and booze and groupies, and I'm sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen nowadays. Number 25, again, this is available. I've got this in Twilight Time. Arrow have just released it as well, with the same artwork, I believe. This is At Close Range, with Christopher Walken and a moustache, and a young Sean Penn. The song, the title song at the end, is by Madonna. Directed by James Foley. Again, I think I picked up this version because there's more extras in this one than the Twilight Time. Don't know about the Arrow one. Yeah, this is based on a true story about father and son and crime. Christopher Walken's just seminal. He's absolutely seminal in this. That's from 1986. Spy number 7. Spy number 7. At 7. Spy number 158 from 1975. Kurosawa's Desuazala. Again, this is another film that when Imprint announced it, it was like finally, because this was on the list of DVD only. This is the one he made in Russia. This is one of the greatest films ever made about the power of nature. There's a scene where they make a shelter during a blizzard, during a storm, and it's just pure cinema, and there's also a nice amount of special features. Yeah, it's just a beautiful film. One of the Kurosawa films that doesn't really get talked about that much, and one of the films that I'll be featuring in my Kurosawa After Mifune series, which I promised about 3 years ago. Spy number 61, David Lynch's The Straight Story. Again, this was a film that, why is it not in Blu-ray? Why was it not in Blu-ray? And then Imprint released it. I think it's now a Spanish or German 4K available, which I'll have to get a 4K of this. From 1999, it was one of the, what was the film that everybody went, this isn't a David Lynch film. I think it's a U certificate, but in some ways it's completely a David Lynch film. A brilliant performance by Richard Farnsworth, who for some reason didn't get the Oscar and then killed himself relatively soon after it because he had cancer. Sissy Spacek, wonderful. Harry Dean Stanton's only in it briefly, but gives a brilliant performance. Again, based on a true story about a man called Alvin Strait, who decides to visit his brother, who he hasn't spoken to in years, but he can't really drive, so he goes in the back of a tractor. An absolutely gorgeous score by Angelo Badalamenti, shot by veteran Freddie Francis. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's just a beautiful film. Don't listen to Mark Kermode, he's wrong about it. Spy number 142 at number 5, again, is a film that I was so happy that finally got a Blu-ray. The Music of Chance. Absolutely love this film. Directed by Philip Haas, based on a novel by Paul Auster. Mandy Patinkin, James Spader, M. Emmett Walsh, Charles Durning, Joel Grey, Samantha Massis, Chris Penn. It's about two guys who meet randomly. One of them claims to be a brilliant poker player who will be able to take these two old guys, these two millionaires, for all their money. Doesn't quite work out, and they're forced to do a job. It's just obtuse and I love it. There's no explanation given for quite a lot of things, which I love. The performances are great. It's arguably Spader's best performance. It's just a wonderful film. Not everybody's going to like it, but then that's what it's all about, apparently. Number 60. At number 4, again, a film you can get elsewhere. I don't have the, or maybe I do. I might have the Scream Factory version as well. The Dead Zone, Cronenberg, Stephen King, Christopher Walken, Martin Sheen. Christopher Walken is school teacher Johnny. Brooke Adams, who was big for a little while. He can see things when he touches people. That's my excuse, my lad. Again, I picked this one up because it does have a huge amount of extras. This was Cronenberg proving he could do a studio film. He did it very well. And obviously Christopher Walken's brilliant in it. The ice, indeed, is going to break. Spy number 3. At 3, Spy number 49. Again, this was another one that was on my wish list for Blu-rays. I've actually got a mug of it from Imprint. I mean, this might be the best film, but again, that's arguable. But at number 3, it's The Gambler with James Caan. I absolutely adore this film. Probably James Caan's best performance. He plays a degenerate gambler, strangely enough, but he's also a college professor in literature. I mean, that might be a little bit of a stretch. Co-stars Paul Sorvino, Lauren Hutton. Directed by Carl Rice, written by James Toback. It's just so masochistic, nihilistic, bleak. I adore it. It was remade. I haven't seen the remake. It does have John Goodman in it, and has the Paul Sorvino role. Matt Damon in the James Caan role. Matt Damon or James Caan. It's tough. I haven't seen it. I don't really plan on seeing it either. This is just fantastic because he knows he doesn't actually play to win. He likes to suffer, and I can identify with it. It's one of those characters I can really identify with. He enjoys losing. He enjoys the masochism of it. It's just absolutely fantastic. From 1974, it's one of the films from the 70s that just doesn't get talked about enough. And Act 2, if you know this channel, you should know what the top 2 are. Spy number 320, again, this was in the latest neo-noir, and again, this was right up there in my please let it have a Blu-ray at some point. It's David Mamet's Homicide, with Joe Mantegna, William H. Macy, Ving Rhames, Rebecca Pidgeon, shot by Roger Deakins. It's arguably, the best film about race relations in America. Certainly a really good film about Jewish relations in America. Joe Mantegna plays a Jewish cop called Bobby Gold, who's the best hostage negotiator, and they're pulling down a big case, but he gets pulled off that to investigate. An old Jewish lady has been shot in her shop by this rich, powerful Jewish family, and it's his coming to terms with his identity, which he hasn't really thought about, and then him choosing between his job and his identity. It's absolutely brilliant. It's got a fantastic ending, and it's full of Mamet golden abusive dialogue. So many quotable lines. Yeah, you could argue Mamet's not the best at doing action. It's all about dialogue with Mamet, but there's just so much great stuff in this, and again, it has such a wonderful ending and kind of final statement. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Not for everybody if they're expecting your usual cop film. This is not your usual cops and robbers film, but this is probably Mamet's masterpiece and one of the best films of the 90s. Just absolutely wonderful. But at number 1, and again, this is available in Criterion, so it won't be on my Criterion list. This is where I got it first. Again, this was a film that had no Blu-ray for years, and then literally within 6 months or less of Imprint releasing it, Criterion announced it. It's Warren Beatty in The Parallax View, Spy number 94. This is arguably the film of the 70s. Yeah, from 1974, the same year as The Gambler. Forget The French Connection, forget All the President's Men, forget The Godfather 1 and 2. This might be the film of the 70s. It's certainly my favourite film of the 70s. Warren Beatty, who I'm not the biggest fan of, is just absolutely brilliant. He plays a couple of characters in this. Well, he plays a reporter, but at one point the reporter is playing somebody else. This is Alan J. Pakula's middle instalment of his Paranoia trilogy with Clute and All the President's Men, who are very good films, both of them. But they're all parallax. I mean, I've got a t-shirt, for goodness sake, with a parallax view. This is a 4K restoration, as is the Criterion, but this has a little bit more in the extra department. This is all about, strangely enough, it's almost like an Assassination Bureau Limited. You can almost watch them as a double bill. One slightly more light-hearted than others. This has a wonderful 70s ending. Yeah, I'll leave it at that if you haven't seen it. But this is just absolutely beautiful. Shot by the Prince of Darkness, Gordon Willis. But it has that gritty 70s look. Wonderful supporting cast. Hume Cronin, again, you might not recognise his name, but you recognise his face. William Daniels, again, might not know his name, but you recognise his face. Paula Prentice. It's just absolutely wonderful. But as I said, it was quite funny because when this got released, literally a few months later, Criterion announced it. So you can now buy the Imprint or the Criterion, whichever's easy and cheapest for you. So that's my favourite 40 imprints ranked. I hope you enjoyed that. Please let me know what imprints you have. It might be worth going over to Australia and just buying them all and then bringing them back. But as I said, they have a yearly sale where some of the titles are like £7, but as usual, Australia is the shipping. I think you do have to go over a certain amount to get free shipping. But certainly, whenever I've bought from them, they always come in wonderful condition, all the way from Australia. So yeah, if they weren't as expensive to ship, I might buy more, but I'm certainly never going to be complete because they do, like a lot of labels, they do release stuff that I'm not really interested in. But who knows, maybe this year I'll go for their sale, but it's usually nearer the end of the year. But like Nova Media's winter sale, it's generally nearer the end of the year than the beginning, even though that's us into April already. So thanks so much for watching. I don't know whether I'll be mad enough to do my favourite Criterion with only 40 choices. That's a bit insane, but never mind. Who knows, I'll maybe try. So please let me know if you enjoyed that. Let me know your favourite 40 imprint titles ranked, or maybe just your favourite too. So this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.